The Chief Justice that I was assigned was Fred Vinson. Fred Vinson's full name was Frederick Moore Vinson. His family was very financially unstable as he had to work after school to help out his family. His dad worked as a jailer in the small hometown that they lived in, but he died when Vincent was a baby. And his mother did whatever she could to support the family. He was born on January 22nd of 1890 in Louisa, Kentucky. In 1908, Vincent graduated from the Kentucky Normal School, and while he was an outstanding student there, he continued to thrive academically at Centre College. After earning his legal degree in 1911, Vincent soon became the city attorney in his hometown. Fred Vinson then moved on to the national political scene in 1924 as he won a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives as a Democrat. He won re-election for 2 more terms, and he was finally defeated in 1928. One of Vinson's very close friends was the 33rd President of the United States, Harry Truman, as he had named him the Secretary of Treasury, and also brought him in as the Chief Justice to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1946 after there was a dispute in the Supreme Court while he was a president. Though history has not been kind to Vinson's tenure as Chief Justice, he has been considered one of the least successful Chief Justices of all time. He passed away while he remained on the court. He died of a heart attack on September 8, 1953 at his apartment in Washington, D.C.
The Supreme Court case of Albert Snyder versus Fred Phelps was a case that began on October 6, 2010. It discussed whether the First Amendment shields someone from tort liability of speech, which is the legal obligation one has resulted from a civil wrongdoing or injury. This incident began with Marine Lance Corporal Matthew Snyder's death. After his father, Albert Snyder, was informed of his son's death, he decided he wanted to hold his funeral in the Catholic Church in their hometown of Westminster, Maryland. The founders and frequent visitors of Westboro Church believed that the United States had too much tolerance for homosexuality as a whole, and thought that that was the reason why bad things were happening all around the country. So naturally, when they found out that Albert Snyder wanted to hold a funeral service for his deceased gay son, they decided that they didn't like that, and they wanted to pay him a visit at their funeral service. The congregation of the Westboro Church often picketed with signs stating things such as, "God hates the United States of America, thank God for 9/11, America is doomed, God hates you," etc. When they heard of Albert's intentions, they decided to picket with the same signs nearly 200 to 300 feet away from the service. Before they arrived, they informed the authorities about what they were going to do. When they arrived, Snyder said that he could only see the corners and edges of their signs, so he didn't think anything of it. The members of the Westboro Church protested without any vulgar or violence and just stayed near the area with their signs. That night, with the service completely over, Albert Snyder saw a special on what was happening, and only then did he see the hurtful things the signs said. He almost immediately decided to sue Fred Phelps, the founder of the Westboro Church, stating that they violated himself and the law in 5 ways: defamation, publicity given to private life, intentional infliction of emotional distress, intrusion upon seclusion, and civil conspiracy. In the trial itself, the court waived the accusations of defamation and publicity given to private life, stating that there was not enough evidence to support Albert Snyder. He then testified that the event caused him extreme sadness, anger, and even resulted in him becoming ill. He was awarded around $10.9 million for emotional distress, intrusion upon seclusion, civil conspiracy claims, and compensatory and punitive damages. Westboro, however, claimed that the church was entitled to judgment under the protection of the First Amendment. The Court of Appeals reviewed this and decided that they agreed because the picketing was a public concern and was not false. So they said Westboro was entitled to protection under the First Amendment